I actually have a note on earless and then other male called boxer nose. Is that the second male lion's name that tends to this pride? Maybe. You can let me know. Yay or nay, hashtag Safari Live, and then Louise will let me know. But I think it might be. I can't imagine why I would write down a random name like boxer nose. There's so many lions in this area though, which is really amazing. I haven't seen anywhere near a third of the population of lions within this area. If I had to try and sit and go through all the different prides that I have seen, it would be quite cool. Maybe I should do that. Maybe when we stop, when we off-road again, I'll sit and I'll write it down. Okay, so now we've got to this little sort of shrub-like area. What are these? Are these quarries? Looks like it. It is. Oh, cool. They are quarry trees. One of my favorite trees. I talk to you about them all the time. They're growing everywhere here. It's like a little thicket. It's like being back at Impala Plains in the Sabi sand. I'm now trying to climb. Louise, dollars or rands? I won't accept rands. $10, I'll eat the leaf. I don't know which quarry this is. I think it might be Euclea undulata. Why not? Louise is now she issued me. She said, Taylor, $10 and if you eat a leaf, and now she's gone, no, I'm not. You know. I'm not sure which quarries we actually get here. She's not changed her mind. She said, for those South Africans that know, you'll know that we grew up calling antelope bucks. I don't know why we do that, but that's what she meant. She said, when I come back to South Africa, there'll be 10 antelope in my room waiting for me. Anyways, the Euclea species of trees are incredible. We can use them for a number of different things. And I've actually been seeing Manu and Mark chewing on a stick. There it is. I don't think it's the same one, though. But Manu, you can also make a toothbrush out of this branch. I'm not going to do it, though, because James says that all guides that make toothbrush out of guarri trees are bad guides. I'm trying to do it anyway, just to spite him. No, I won't. But exactly like Manu's done, he's chewed. Actually, you can show us yours. So he's chewed it quite nicely, and then typically you chew the end, and then you tear the fibers. Oh, there we go. And then you sort of rub it around on your teeth. What does that one taste like, though? I'm not sure what tree they're using, though, but apparently there's a couple of them that you can use. I'm just trying to think, looking at these, I haven't seen a Euclea undulata for such a long time. Is it a magic guarri? No, it doesn't look like the divinorum. I'm not sure which guarri species we've got here. I also don't know what ones occur in the Masai Mara. But you can eat the leaves, Louise, but you would only eat them if you had a very upset stomach, and I would say I'm going to take about 3 leaves or so. They're very bitter, high in tannins. We've done this many, many times, but we're constantly having new viewers, so sometimes it's nice to just reiterate on some of the old things that we already know. So you could take 3 leaves like this if you had a bit of an upset stomach and you were perhaps nowhere near any luxury facilities. And what it does is, because of all the tannins in here, you could just break them up, swallow them whole. You could chew them if you like. They don't taste particularly nice. It actually sucks the saliva out of your mouth. And then it basically does the same thing. It helps dry up your stomach. But you don't want to eat too many of the leaves, otherwise you're going to have the complete opposite and you'll become constipated. So it's a tough one. But it's just a nice little tip to know. I think all guides should know something like this. Being stuck out in the bush, especially for long hours, sometimes nature calls and you need a little home remedy. But yeah, they're really, really wonderful trees. But no fruit. You can see little flowers developing over here. Just tiny, tiny little buds just starting, but I haven't yet to see any fruit on any of these trees. But it's all just guarri. In fact, this is just a guarri thicket, which is pretty cool. Okay, now I need to go back this way, and I'm going to have to undo my earpiece because I think I'm just going to get tangled if I try and do it the other way. Okay, let's get back in the car. Right. Get that plugged in. Make sure that's all connected. Okay, that's quite cool. I haven't seen a guarri thicket like this. This is the first time. That's why I'm actually so surprised. Wonderful. I wonder what we could find in here. Well, I think when all the different that'd be hanging around, might find some nice populations of jackal around here, because they also enjoy eating the guarris and monkeys and all sorts of other things. Right, we're going to slowly start heading back around towards the balloon pride of lions, and hopefully they wake up Tristan has had quite a bit of luck with birds and all sorts of other things. I wonder what he's going to find for you next.
Well, Taylor, I was hoping to try and find Tundi, but it seems somebody was driving around after game drive and has completely obliterated the tracks. I found where there were tracks coming out where we had hoped they would come out, but then from there they just get absolutely squashed, and I'm battling to find where exactly she's gone from there. So I think she might have crossed into Torchwood, but I just can't see where exactly that might be. She was heading not too far from the Torchwood boundary, still pushing a little east. She might have turned south. I didn't pick up anything south of it, so I'm not 100% sure. We'll just try and have a look around, and hopefully we can find some sort of sign somewhere. There is a waterhole not far from here on the eastern side. She might have pushed towards there. I was hoping that she would have a kill, because apparently she went to the dam, drank, and then went back the same way. So I was hoping that was why she was moving in that direction, is because she had some sort of a carcass somewhere. But it seems as though that is not the case. Now, earlier I was saying that it sounded like Hosanna might be coming north to Djuma. That is also not the case. It was the opposite way around. Hosanna crossed out of the Mulawati south, and we didn't check the Mulawati at Tun Dams. We kind of went into it a little bit deeper or higher around Mumba Road, and so missed that individual completely, which is not ideal. It's a lesson to be learned from that, is to check the whole way along the drainage, not just a little bit of it, which is fine. So we're going to try and just see what else we can do. Shadow has done a disappearing act. Nobody can find her. Nobody knows where she's gone. Nobody knows where her tracks have gone, and so that makes life a little on the tough side. So our leopards all seem to be departing us rather than coming towards us, but it's okay. We will make a plan somewhere here, and we will find something somewhere along the line. Now I'm checking very carefully on Torchwood boundary, because it's a nice soft road, and tracks here should be fairly decent to see, although I think we're getting a little far south now for her to have crossed. She should have crossed way back behind me if she did cross, which like I say, I'm 99% sure that she has. I mean, the distance from where she was, where the tracks are, to the boundary, and the sort of way that they're heading tends to indicate to me that she has gone that way. Obviously she might have turned, but I doubt it. I really do doubt she's in any way, shape or form still on Djuma, unless by some miracle she's got a kill just on the boundary, which I suppose is also very possible. Other than that, it's been fairly quiet. It's still very warm. It's a hot afternoon, which means that a lot of the animals and birds, I think, are still taking it easier. We're going to probably find a situation where things will slowly start to come alive, but not just yet. I think they're going to only come, sort of get moving and come to life maybe in the next half an hour to an hour. It's starting to cool off, but it's just not quite there just yet. And so when it's hot like this, you find that a lot of the animals are lethargic. They don't really want to move. They try and find nice shady sections in order just to rest and relax and try and take it easy. And so, you know, at the end of the day, it's probably what I would do if I was in their shoes as well, as try and just come check it out and try and get into a place where I'm feeling a lot more comfortable. Right, now it sounds like Taylor McCurdy had some luck with a rather large lion pride earlier in the afternoon and has been bumbling about since then, doing the lugger tour. And Scotty D, well, he's had all kinds of wonderful, interesting things this afternoon, and seems as though he's got a little bit of luck with the tawny cats himself.
We have indeed got lucky and found some lions. Certainly not a large pride though. Just the one lioness over there. I think she's watching a hyena that I saw slinking off through the long grass. But as we arrived, she may have also vocalized. I just saw her mouth moving. There's two of her sub-adult cubs. And I'm guessing that these individuals are part of the Sausage Tree Pride. There's a few other vehicles not too far from us, quite a few of them. And I'm guessing that they could be with the other members of her pride. So hopefully we'll get to see them reunite. Good prospects. She doesn't look too hungry, so she may take us hunting with her this evening, which would be absolutely marvelous. It's been quite some time since I've been with lions on the prowl for a meal. Lots of good quality with the cheetah over the last few days. But not too... Ooh, let's just see if she didn't vocalize there. Let's just watch one more time. thought she may have let off a soft contact call. She's definitely looking very intent on something. She's focused, but who knows what exactly is causing this at the moment? I'm not sure. Huh. Okay, I have spotted the other, or another lion. David's to the left of the vehicle that's got its back to us, about 20 meters to the left of that one. There we go, yeah, spot on. There she comes. What an awesome scene this is. I love watching lions slink through the long grass. And she is, as you can see, heading towards us, so in this direction, and I'm sure she is going to reunite with this other lioness. You know, she could have two of her sub-adults following behind her. They're slightly smaller than her. It could well be a pride of 2 lioness and 4 sub-adults. I'm guessing that's who we've could end up seeing reunite. I think I might just reposition quickly because there's a beautiful sunset that I'd like to show you. Let me just turn the vehicle around. Not your stereotypical sunset, but still some beautiful colors coming out from the west. Beautiful. Hello, Jess. You would like to know how long can a lion, leopard or cheetah survive without feeding, and I'd say quite easily 5 days. Anything upwards of that, they're going to start losing condition, but I'd say possibly even a week, maybe longer, before they get into serious trouble. Beautiful work there on the camera, Dave, creating some magic. Isn't that beautiful? So, ordinarily, every 2 or 3 days they would like to have a meal, but they can survive for long periods without one. How long exactly, like I said, I'm not entirely sure, and it'll probably all depend on the individual. Just like us as humans, if you lined 10 of us up and starved us, some of us would buckle and crumble before others, depending on which of us were carrying a little bit of extra weight, which would help. Obviously, some reserves to burn up would be useful. And the same goes for lion. It depends on, after the migration season, for example, the lions are going to be so well fed and in such good condition that they'd be able to go for longer without a meal than, let's say, at the end of this drier time with not as much food around. Okay, let's watch here. It looks like the other lioness and her 2 sub-adults are coming in onto the scene. We're going to get spoiled with a wonderful scene as they reunite. I'm sure there's going to be lots of head rubbing, licking. Look at her, she's looking. Oh, let's look at the other ones. The other ones are running towards them. The cubs are leading the charge. How cool is this? Who knows how long they've been apart? Maybe it was just the daylight hours, and who knows why they would have split up. Lions do seriously act quite strangely. Here come the other lioness running in now. Beautiful. Very, very happy to see one another. Oh. So I'm guessing the cubs are going to play with one another and the lioness is going to go straight to the other lioness. Oh. How wonderful is this? I always love seeing lions being so playful and caring with one another because, of course, we can see them being quite the opposite, both with one another and obviously their prey that they have to latch onto. Wonderful. Now, where are they going to take us? There's not too much prey around this general area, so they've got their work cut out for them finding a restaurant this evening. But we are certainly going to be doing our best to follow them as they go. These lioness are quite proficient at actually hunting buffalo. And it's quite a thing for two lioness to take on a buffalo on their own. But because they don't have too many other options in the area where their territory is, they kind of are left with not much choice. So we might be lucky enough to see an epic showdown of lion and buffalo. Let's go and see what happens. Hello, Belinda. You'd like to know if this pride may have split up and had a bit of a breakaway compared to others, and yes, or not compared to others, from what would have been a bigger natal pride, and yes, there's a strong chance of that happening. And it actually seems to be quite common for prides in the Mara to split up and do their own things more so than they ordinarily would. There's also, I was chatting to one of the guides from Angama Lodge, which is the lodge where we are situated next to, and they said there's 4 lioness not too far away from you that have just come onto the scene with some small little cubs, so they're not sure where they are from. Yes, you'd also like to know if breakaway prides will share territories, and as a general rule, yes, they will. But who knows for how long they will tolerate one another before maybe their bonds grow apart and then they may start competing with one another. It's hard to be certain. I haven't had much experience of dealing with lions that have broken away from their original pride. I'm just trying to stay on the road for as long as possible. Just try and work out what they're doing and where they've gone, and rather try and take a big loop ahead of them rather than following behind them through this long grass. They've disappeared, at least from my field of view. So in we go. Whoa. I'm guessing they would have carried on moving in the direction they headed off in, but anything's possible. They may have done a U-turn and or lay down in the grass for a snooze. Very good. Well, we're going to try and catch up with them, and while we do that, you're going to be catching up with Tristan and getting an update on how his quest for the leopard is going.
Well, the quest is not going well, Scotty D. It's much like your cheetah quest this morning, is that we are being thwarted at every turn, but there's always hope, and you never know. We might just get lucky somewhere along the line. Now, I believe some of you are saying that Tumba is on Chitwa. I'm not sure where you saw that, but I've asked on the radio, and I got an update that there's no such sign of Tumba. There hasn't been a sign of Tumba for 2-3 days, other than some tracks in the lodge last night. So, I don't know. Maybe he's around, maybe he isn't. I'm not sure, but the guys on the radio certainly don't know anything about it. So, either somebody's hiding it, or he's maybe just hasn't been seen this afternoon. It could have been from yesterday, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know, like I say, where it was seen that he was on Chitwa, but maybe, just maybe, it could be older footage from the last few days when he was in the camp itself. We will go and check anyway. It's getting to that time where I want to start heading towards Chitwa for our moonrise anyway, and so we will go and check around there and have a little look. I just want one last look along this boundary because I don't see a single track for Thandi crossing anywhere, and I have a funny sneaky feeling that she's got a kill somewhere here. I just feel like it's in this area, and it's just a matter of just checking properly and really making sure that there isn't something somewhere here. I find it very odd for a leopard to go drink water and come back with exactly the same route that they took. It's not common to see that at all from leopards. They don't do that generally unless they have some sort of food item. So it could be that's the case, and she maybe just crossed into one of these areas. So I'm checking all the big trees, trying to find some sort of sign of a carcass dangling, or maybe just even her on top of a termite mound, because there is no tracks that I can see. The problem is also is that this road has been driven a lot today, which means that it's in all possibility that these tracks have been squished and squashed, and unfortunately we probably won't find where they cross. It's worth a try though, like I say. At the end of the day, one's got to be positive and try their luck, and if you're lucky and you persevere and you're patient, then generally things work out quite nicely and you end up finding what you need, which is good news. So hopefully somewhere here she will be lurking and moving in this general direction. I'm just trying to scan. It also doesn't help that we're looking straight into the sun at the moment. That doesn't make life any easier, that's for sure. So we're definitely going to try and get around so I don't have to stare in the sun as much as what I'm doing right now. But it's quiet around here. It almost feels a bit eerily quiet, as though maybe she has been around and most of the animals know it, and that's why they're not here. Normally this section is bustling with steenbok and duiker and warthogs and various other animals that are hanging around these more open firebreak sections, and this afternoon just seems all a little too quiet for my liking. So I'm going to just try and check around and see. Maybe I get lucky. Like I say, it's a big long shot and a throw of the dice, but that's the best way. So Louise is saying that I should sing the Shadow song. Now the Shadow song was from a local band, I believe, called Wonderboom. I'll try and find it for you, because we know that I have no talent when it comes to singing. Absolutely nothing. Completely stone deaf. Well, tone deaf, stone deaf, same thing really in my books. So I'm useless when it comes to singing, but I will try and find the song and we'll play a little bit of it, just the shadow part, just so that you can hear what I'm talking about. But it basically just goes shadow, 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 and so that's why we sing it around camp every time we hear the shadow name, because it makes us think of her. Now where are you? There is a red-crested Quran making a lot of noise. Do you see it, Senzo? Just shows you how, there, I see it. You see this gap here, Senz, and then there's a first tree on other side of the gap, just at the bottom of that first tree. So if you go in for me, straight in from where you are now. So somewhere that tree, like at the base of that tree there. In. And where are you? Somewhere to the right of that, sorry, Sense, to the right a little bit. Right. Down a little bit. Are you there? There you are. So straight in the middle there, Sense, you can see it. There's its head. You can see how incredible the camouflage is. It's amazing. And lots of calling going on. Now they will do this often when a vehicle approaches. It's about the sound. They don't like competition for sound, so they make a lot of noise in order... Oh, there we go. Did you see the suicidal drop? So that's its display. So I was just saying, they don't like vehicles. They take it as a challenge. So it went up and it did its kind of suicidal dive bomb back to the ground, which is so cool. We often don't get it on camera because it's difficult to see. It's not easy at all, and it's generally they don't do it very often. So that was super cool to see, and you can see the camouflage again. Once it lands, it really just disappears. It's got this kind of tan colored back, and in long grass like that, it's just gone, which is why it has those black wings, as all just to confuse predators. But that was super cool. How epic was that? That was as good as it gets from a little display flight from a red-crested Quran. I'm glad we stopped because of its whinging and moaning, and then we made a plan to just kind of take it in and have a look. That was cool. Always like when they do it. It's fun to watch. Right, now back onto our leopard mission, and whether or not we're going to find one, I'm not quite sure. Hopefully her tracks don't come out this side. Tax was saying to me when he found her it was between the two blocks, so maybe we'll see her tracks somewhere around here, and maybe just along this drainage section we'll be able to find it. Now James, you're saying, how do you think Djuma is doing with regards to rainfall? James, to be honest, it's dry. It's drier than I thought it would be at this time of the year, although it's following a very similar pattern to the last 3 years, in that our rainfall, we seem to get a little bit around September, October, beginning of October, then it tends to get quite hot and dry and all the way kind of November, December, and then we get a situation where in January, February, March, April we seem to be getting rain, which is quite strange. But if I think about last year, even though last year was a very dry year and the drought really gripped during the winter last year and it was very difficult for our animals out here to survive and not very pleasant at all, I feel like this year, well, particularly our October has been a lot drier than last October. I was looking through some photos from last year that I took while I was guiding in the October month, and it was far greener than what we're seeing now. The grass had a nice lush green tone to it. There was a lot of green grass around, and while we are seeing a bit of green grass, it's really quite patchy and sparse and is being burnt at a rate of knots by the sun at the moment. The sun is being incredibly hot, and the rainfall we have had has been very limited at best. It's not been a lot of rain. I mean, we haven't yet had a storm that's gone over 30-40 millimeters. It's been all very little amounts of rain considering where we are in the year, and so for me I think we're still far too dry. We should have a lot more water at this time of the year. It's good because it means the game viewing is great, but it's bad because it's hammering our area, and it's maybe why we're not seeing the elephant and buffalo numbers in this section, is that there's just better places to be at the moment, because our rainfall here in the Sabi Sands, or particularly in northern and central Sabi Sands, has been far less than maybe south of us in the sort of Skukuza and southwards area of the Kruger National Park. So those areas, it's going to be difficult. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to get a wet year or a dry year. I'm on the fence about it. I think everybody's got split opinion as to whether we're going to have another El Nino or La Nina year and what that's going to represent for us here in the Sabi Sands. Like I say, I'm not sure. I'm not a weatherman, and I really don't know how to predict the weather anyway, but it is dry at the moment and, well, not ideal. Now, one other place that was dry is Kenya. They've had a lot of issues further north of the Masai Mara with drought and bad conditions, and so I'm hoping that they will get rain too and alleviate some of the dryness that's happening that side. But one person that will be able to tell us about that is Taylor McCurdy.
That at the moment, perfect timing as the lioness yawns into the sunset, and this is pretty much the sunset that we're all going to have this evening. It's actually quite spectacular and very dramatic with all the clouds, the different shades of dark blue, and then as it goes to the right you get little orange and pinks and mauves. It is very, very, very pretty, and of course, to top it off, having a pride of lion sitting below it is quite spectacular. I don't think anybody would argue against that. And good news, they're actually waking up this time. They fooled us once earlier, but now they're standing up. We've all been grooming one another. The lionesses have gone over and greeted each other, so that's very exciting. But I don't know where they're going to go and find food, because their buffalo herd is quite far. I don't think they have any idea that they're even there. So it'll be interesting to see which route they choose and which direction they decide to go in. I wonder if they've been thinking about it, if they've been planning it as they've been sleeping. Well, that girl seems like she's just having a quick nap. It's kind of like Manu and I this afternoon. Manu and I had a nap. We both were exhausted. I don't know why. Every time we got Olashaki, they feed us too much there. I think it wasn't a very long one. I think I only slept for a total of about 30 minutes, but it was the greatest power nap ever. And I don't nap. I struggle to nap, but I did this afternoon. So I felt a bit like a lion. But there's the whole pride just starting to wake up. You can see all the little ones rolling about. Very camouflaged, except when they roll over and you see the white on the underside of their belly. That's quite bright. But they'll probably leave these cubs around. Maybe they're going to take the cubs with them, though, for a little bit. They might, move them to another area. Or they could just drop them here. It's quite a nice area here. They feel very safe. Now, Joy, you're wondering if you ever see or get any melanistic lions. I've never seen a melanistic lion. I know there was a picture once surfacing on the interweb, and it was of a melanistic lion, but that was faked. Someone had just had some fun on Photoshop. I haven't actually heard of melanistic lions. I've heard of melanistic leopards, melanistic serval, and a variety of other creatures, but lions I have not heard of. I think I would remember if I've heard of something like that, but who knows, anything is possible. They would stand out like an absolute sore thumb, especially if they're living in the savannah. It wouldn't be a very good colour out here. But I don't know, if you hit some forest lion somewhere, maybe they could adapt and live in there, but I wouldn't think that it'd be very common. Isn't that gorgeous? It's a pity there's no frogs or anything chirping tonight, because that would have been nice to sort of go with the lions. Another big yawn. And a young male coming up to join lioness. It always amazes me how they mimic the adults. Okay, you sitting up here. I'm also going to come and sit up here with you. So girls, what are you going to hunt this evening? I feel as though you need to try and take on something quite large to keep your pride happy for a couple of days, so you don't have to worry about these hungry cubs. That would be a real nuisance sometimes. Making sure that everybody's got food constantly. But I have yet to see a lion hunt in the Mara, so it could be quite exciting. Oh, lovely. I didn't realise Scott had some lions, but it sounds like they are quenching their thirst right about now.
They certainly are quenching their thirst, and I think they are quenching their thirst in preparation for a meal. They are heading towards a herd of topi, and still quite a way to go. Not much cover. They're just to the left, Dave, straight over that front lioness is where the topi are. Looks like one's already looking in this direction, though. And the lions will kind of be sticking out a little bit as they walk through what is very green grass. Heading towards the topi. They're heading past the topi, but maybe they've got a plan in order. So if any of you have just joined, there are 4 sub-adults and 2 lioness in this pride. And they're heading up towards the area where we usually actually spend time with them, further up towards the escarpment. Where is the one sub-adult? One sub-adult's missing. There were 4 earlier, but now I can only see 3. Maybe there's a young rebel who's already wanting to spend less time with his mother and his aunt. Very strange. Where is it? Well, that is really a surprise. I didn't expect that to happen. I wonder where it's gone. Had to double check my maths there a few times. Oh, there it is back there, Dave, at about 9 o'clock. Left a bit, I think. Keep going, or have I seen something that's not the lion? Oh no, sorry, it'll be difficult to find a lion there because I'm looking at a bush. Okay, now I'm going to be surprised, even though the lions didn't appear to be heading straight towards the topi, they may have been heading towards some cover that they can use to creep up to the topi. So just need to be careful and kind of plan my attack carefully as to where we are going to position the vehicle. I'm thinking of going around onto the other side of the topi and waiting for the lions to approach. Perfect, Dave. So the light is getting quite low now, which means we are going to switch over into the infrared technology. Cha-ching! Well, the only risk of doing this is if the lions do bypass this herd, we're going to not know exactly where they are, but I can see them. Let's just stop and have a quick look now, just to give you guys another update as to where they are in relation to the topi. They're kind of just at like between 2 and 3. No, keep going a bit more. Okay, I think you were just on the edge of them initially, so if you go back, as you can see that the topi is looking very, very intently in their direction. They're somewhere on the right of your screen now, so if you zoom in there, we should pick them up. A bit more to the right. There we go. So, maybe they think the topi are just too fast and too clever for them, and they are heading off for buffalo instead, which they do like to snack on. They are heading evidently straight past these topi. So, I think we need to rather follow behind them. That was a surprise. They're quite hungry. But I guess as soon as they realized that the topi were looking at them, they probably just thought, let's not waste our energy. We've blown our cover already. Bouncy, bouncy. Well, there's some good news. It's not only this pride of lion that's on the move. Tailors have just got up. Why don't you go and see what they're up to?
Being stalked by a youngster at the moment. Now it's just flopping down to the ground. Thankfully, I was fearing for my life for a second. But yes, they are awake now, just like your cats, Scott. It could be quite exciting, don't you think, for this evening? Conditions are perfect for hunting. Now we just have to wait and see what's going to happen, if the lionesses are going to go on a walkabout with the lionesses are going to take the cubs on a walkabout, or if they're going to be told to stay behind. There's 2 of them. Yes, if you keep going in that direction, you're going to find yourself plenty food. We'll have to wait for now. One of the youngsters just running over, always looking for reassurance from the adults. Look at that. Yes, they are incredibly social. Now we've just gone into infrared, as you can see, and she's using the luxury facilities at the moment, so that confirms that she is going to get on the move, and the cub mimicking her behavior. It actually looked like all of the lionesses have got cubs. They all have suckle marks, which is quite nice to see. And there they go. And so I think they're just popping back over to the cubs again, just to have a little look at them, to greet them, to groom them. Little ones are getting a bit rowdy too, a little bit more energy, so maybe we'll see them playing and pushing one another around. You can just see how windy it is as well, and we're fairly sheltered in this spot too, so it just goes to show. You can see the trees moving quite a bit. Come on, girls. One of the young cubs practicing its hunting techniques of jumping up onto that lioness and trying to tackle her to the ground. That didn't work though. And then the other youngster just sitting and watching in the distance. Now, nibbles. That's funny because that's what the lions are doing. They're nibbling one another. You're wondering how many little lions are there typically in a litter. The average number is about 3 to 4, but they can have up to about 6, which is a handful for these adults. As you can see, look at them. They're now just being covered by young lions, and claws everywhere, and teeth, and biting ears, and biting tails. So they're exceptionally tolerant. There's one girl that looks quite old in this pride, one of the lionesses, and she's slightly less tolerant, even of her, I suspect, even of her own cubs, because she also had suckle marks. I think she's obviously had so many litters, and that's not this female. She looks fairly young. I'll try and find her now. It might be difficult because I'm seeing in the dark, but it was very funny to watch her earlier. She was not having any of it. Even the cubs decided to give her a wide berth and go and annoy everybody else. Now, lions, if you go through that way, that's going to make it very difficult for me, because now I need to try and cross the lugger. And there is no shortcut through. Actually, I need to get my spotlight out. I'm not going to shine the spotlight on the cubs, because of course they're too young, but I just want to get an idea as to where they're going. I don't think they will cross here because it's quite filled with water. Now, Glenda, you're wondering at what age do these young lions go out on an active hunt? From about just over a year or so, they'll start observing. Although we see with the sausage tree pride lions, they're slightly younger than that, but they're quite keen and often ruin the hunts for the lions, for the adults. So that happens too. But they won't be joining until they're almost a year and a half old. Wait, where'd she go? Where's she going? Is she leaping across the water? Oh, one girl just took off sprinting, so I'm just having a look because it's difficult to see where they're going. Maybe there's a dry patch that they're going to cross there. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. That makes it very difficult for us. Just want to make sure that they are going across. They are. No, lions don't go there. I can't cross where these lions are going, unfortunately. There go the adults. Charging off, also having a bit of a play. It looks like some of the cubs are going to follow as well. So what we need to try and do now is we've got to head around. We've got to do a long detour and try and find a suitable spot. Because if we have to go back the way we came, I'm not going to go through that same area I went through where I almost got stuck. I think that'll be a little bit silly because the way that my tires were spinning, trying to grip the mud, I would have created a deeper rut now, which is no good. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start heading around and try and find a spot and hopefully be able to pick up on these lions. And while I do that, Tristan, I think, is just about ready to get his spotlight out and start searching. Or maybe he's going to watch the sunset.
I am. I feel like the sun is still very high in the sky, so not just yet, Taylor Mac. Unfortunately, things have changed. The Mara now doesn't have a sunset time the same as what ours does. Ours is now getting later and later and later, and so we're falling out a little bit of sync with the Mara. But spotlight will come a little bit later, that's for sure. I'm just heading down towards Chitwa Dam at the moment. It's always a great place to be, and like I said, I promised an epic moonrise today, and so I will deliver on my promise, hopefully, because the sun is almost setting, which means the moon will come up probably just after the sunrise. Now there are two cars here, which I don't know why there are two vehicles. I'm going to ask them. Maybe Tumba is here after all. So he gave me that update when I did ask specifically. Stations on Chitwa Dam will come in. I don't know, nobody's answering me about it, so if there is a sighting, well, we're about to just dominate their sighting and take over, which is pretty much okay, given that, well, there's not really much going on and they've got access to a lot of things, and if they don't want to tell me on the radio, well then there's not much I can do about it. But I think they're just looking at the hippos and the dam in general. It is a beautiful place to come and look and to spend time and to sort of watch what goes on around here. I do love spending time at Chitwa Dam, particularly in the afternoons. It is absolutely beautiful. The thing is, there's quite a bit of a breeze blowing this afternoon. There's a lot more of a wind than I would have first thought, and so it's making quite a chop on the water, which is making it difficult to see a lot of our hippos. In fact, I can only see one hippo on this side. I think the rest must be on the other side, maybe where little baby Boo is at the moment, where they can kind of watch over that little one. But isn't that beautiful? It's kind of dead trees, water, afternoon light is such a magical spot to spend an afternoon. I always love being out here, as I've said countless times this week, and we've really been spoiled by Chitwa Dam over the last kind of few days. It's produced a lot of sightings for us, and far more sightings than I think people even realized were here. If you just check around for long enough and sit here for long enough, you often get led to all kinds of things. The nice thing about it is there's often a lot of antelope species on the airstrip on this side. There's also monkeys around the camp, and so generally you get almost a 360 degree kind of area that can be alerted to any predators, because all of those antelope and monkeys and those kind of things will shout if they see anything. So you can, sitting here on the dam wall gives you a chance to be able to pick up a lot of signs of things that you might not otherwise. It's how we found Kuchava last night, is we literally were on the dam wall and we heard a shout from an impala far away on the Annette's boundary, and it was just one single snort. And I knew that Kachava was seen here somewhere yesterday, and so we went and investigated. By the time we got there, she was out in the open, and a number of impalas were shouting at her. But it just goes to show that sitting here is often a good thing, particularly at this time of the day, around sunset. This is when animals start moving, and particularly things like leopard. And so sitting here is really a good way to be able to pick up what's going on. It is absolutely beautiful here. The sun that is coming down slowly. Like I said, it hasn't set just yet. It's going to be a while until it does set. I would say maybe another 10 minutes or so until we'll see it going down. Paula, you're wondering how long baby hippo will stay with its mom? Well, it depends. Obviously, if it's a male, it's going to be kicked out a little bit earlier. Females generally stick around within the pod structure, and especially in a water source like this, they often stay around and stay in the area. If it is a male, generally it will be right up against mom's side for its first sort of year, until she's then going to get pregnant and give birth again. And so it stays there right next to her side, and then once it starts to get to the next calf, it will start moving away. It's much like elephants in a way that the young females will stay with their moms even though they have new calves. They're still there in the pod, but it won't be reliant on mom until after a year. So after a year old, it just starts to drift off, and it was part of the pod, but it does its own thing. It's not going to stay right next to mom and suckle from mom and all of those kind of things like you see from this tiny baby. But we'll go forward now and try and see if we can find the tiny baby. Hopefully it's somewhere in this general vicinity. I was hoping that we would see more hippos from this side, because I always like stopping here because it's so low, so you get a kind of water level view of them instead of looking down on them. And so hopefully we'll have a situation where we can just negotiate this area and go past. And these guys, although they parked right in the middle of the dam, which is going to make it very difficult for me to go anywhere really, I might have to just stop here and just have a little look around and watch what's going on. But it seems as though they're not going to move at all. What we might actually do, which is maybe not the worst idea, is let's just drop behind the dam wall for a bit and go and have a little look at our plover chicks while these guys are on the dam itself, because they're going to seem as though they're going to just park there and not move for a bit. So let's go through there, and then we can just negotiate the nice oasis behind Chitwa dam wall, have a look at our little plovers, and then we can come back this side just now when they're gone. I'm pretty sure they'll move off eventually, and by the time we get round, they should have moved off and gone away completely. So we'll just try and get around them a little bit. Also a good place to look for timber, so while we're here we might as well just have a little scan around for our green-eyed boy. Maybe he is here after all. Now the plovers are in this section, so you need to drive very slowly, very carefully. I see one of them over there on my right hand side. I don't see little one just yet, but I don't want to go too fast because the little one's instinct is just to sit and stay still and not move too much. And so if I go too fast, then the little one might just sit, and obviously we don't want to squash it. So I'm just going to stop here and have a little look if it comes out. But there's one of the adults. I'm just trying to look if there's any sign of another adult. Oh, you see the small one? Yes, there's a little one in amongst the grass. Is just moving around. So our one chick is still doing okay. There it is. Hello, little one. Are you in amongst the grass today? It must be like, imagine being inside grass when you're that small. It must look like a whole different world from down there. It must almost be like being in a rainforest when you're kind of walking through this damp grass. It's very, very cool. Now it sounds like an echo because Lou and I said it must be like a rainforest exactly the same time. So great minds think alike, Lou, and I know that somebody in FC is going to pipe up and say fools never differ, but well, we'll take great minds think alike instead. Don't you agree, Lou? But it's super cute, and you can see how it's just disappearing inside there. I'm glad it's actually in there. It's better. There we go, Lou. So fools may never differ, but greater fools watch on. Well said, Louise. But this little one, it's better for it to be in there. It's going to camouflage a lot better. It's well hidden in there. Also, at the end of the day, means that I'm not going to be anyway in danger of driving in this section. I'm not going to hurt that little plover and not going to try and chase it out of there. It certainly will be much happier by being in that little grassy section. Very nice, though. There is a lot of vehicles here though, so I don't know why Chitwa Dam is so busy this afternoon. There must be a sighting fairly close by that everybody's trying to wait for, that they're coming to the dam itself. This is often what happens when it's this time of the day, and the dam and how it all works is that you'll find a number of these guys all kind of coming just to waste a bit of time before they go into a sighting. Now I know Hosanna's on Little Gowrie, which really isn't too far from this area, and so that's probably why they're all here, is just to kind of watch the dam. Also, the word has gotten out now that there is a baby hippo and baby crocodiles, and so everybody's coming to try and have a look at those and try and see them. So hopefully we'll have a situation where everything calms down, because it would be nice just to have our own sort of sunset and moonrise, but we'll see. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, unfortunately. Right, snow leopard today? Nope, not that I can see. Of course, there could still be one somewhere in this vicinity, but nothing that I can see just yet. It seems all quite quiet. No sign of our night herons either. I think they got chased away by Hosanna's presence in this section a few days ago. I'm pretty sure they were spending time here until Hosanna was plopping out in the water and causing just general chaos in that particular section. Right, let's see. Beautiful in here though, isn't it? You can see some Egyptian geese just waddling along in front of me. So it really is a pretty area just to sit in the afternoons. It's so nice in here. Hot afternoons, perfect place to come and just relax and take it all in and spend a bit of time resting. It's crazy to think that this sometimes is a raging torrent of water, and that sometimes fills up where you can't drive anywhere here. It's absolutely incredible. Very cool. So, right, let's try and negotiate this muddy little section. Of course, it doesn't look too bad, but we will hopefully not get stuck in this section. We've got to get into low range. You can see it's quite deep and muddy on the right side. The left side is fine, so I think we'll be okay. We just got to kind of slowly go through it, which should be fine. There we go. Oh no, we get stuck. No, everything's fine. It looks a lot worse than it actually is. There's actually a nice hard base to this. Because of the drought time, it actually got to a point where it was very hard, and so it's just a little bit of slush on top, which eventually will go away, and we'll get a situation where it will kind of dry out here again, unless we get some rain fairly shortly. Now, while going through here, it's always a good place to check for Kuchava, because yesterday when we left her, this is where she came last night just after we finished drive. When we wrapped, she crossed past our vehicle and started heading down into this general area. So a good place to look for her as well, and just double check that she isn't around. I would imagine if I was a leopard, this is where I would like to spend time. Oh wait, what is that? There's a little kingfisher. So Senzo, you see on the bottom that tiny little branch to the left of the thing, it looks like a little pygmy or malachite kingfisher that's sitting just straight in from where you are. Straight in, straight in, straight in, and up a little bit to your left. A little bit to your left. There we go, on that branch there. So just straight in on that branch, up a little bit, up a little bit. There it is. You see it just in the middle of your screen? You can just see its little beak. So there, sitting, looks like, oh, it just darted off. It's going to come back. There we go. It came back. So difficult to see exactly which one it is. Looks like a malachite. I think it's a malachite. I've got a branch right in the way of it from my angle, so it looks malachite to me. And these little guys, pygmies and malachites, loving an area like this. It's a difficult place to be able to kind of get into. It's quiet in this area, and so I would imagine this will be the perfect place. But actually, now that I can see it better with my binoculars, it is a little pygmy kingfisher. How cute is that? Now, pygmy kingfishers are also intra-African migrants, so this little guy will have arrived back fairly recently and will now be kind of spending the summer in our area. But how cool is that? It is absolutely tiny. It's called a pygmy kingfisher for a reason. This little bird only weighs between 12 and 17 grams and is 12 centimeters in height. So it's just over, it was about less than an inch tall. No, sorry, just over an inch, 3 inches tall. So there we go, I'll get it right eventually. But it is a tiny little bird, and it is super cute. I love pygmy kingfishers, and they, like I say, arrive in the summer months, and this is the perfect place for them. Now, what it was doing there is it's actually not a fish eater at all. So when it's dive bombing that water like that, it's either catching insects or it's bathing. So it's trying to get water onto its feathers where it can then preen. It's not going after fish. These guys are not fish eaters, and that's why they are a migrant is that they are following the insect hatches northwards and then back southwards as the rains start to come back and their temperatures go up and insect production gets more in these kind of areas. So that's why you're seeing them coming in the summer months. Sinak, you want to know what these birds sound like? Hold on 2 seconds. Let me get the call out for you so that we can hear it nicely. Right, pygmy kingfisher. I can certainly say that they will sound better than the bar owl that we saw earlier. There's actually 2 of them. Look, there's 2. So we'll get back to the call just now, but there's 2 of them together there. So up a little bit, Sense, there we go. How cool is that? Hello guys. Are you a mating pair together? That's so cool. I wonder if they're going to nest in this area. I'm hoping that we're going to find them nesting in this area. This is why I love coming back here, is you just never know what's behind this damn wall. We've come every single day and had something very special behind this damn wall every single time. And it's so underutilized. Nobody really drives here. It's quiet in here. And that's why you get great bird life and interesting little things like this. Now I'm hoping the little one, well, the partner will come back again. But there's definitely 2 of them and they're flying around one another. There's a bit of displaying going on. So maybe they're starting to court each other to then start nesting in this area, and they will nest in small little holes in trees, and so this is a perfect place. There's a number of big trees here that they can find a little hole in that they'll go and nest, and they'll maybe use something like a woodpecker's old nest or a barbet's old nest. Both of those are very good at building excavating out. It's gone off to the other side now, unfortunately. The partner has gone to the right, but that's so cool. It's a pity there's not a little bit of light because their colors are incredible in the light. I'll show you a picture in my book because in the book it gives their coloration a little bit better, and so I'll show you a little bit more of what they look like now that it's flown away and departed us and left the scene. So if we have a look here, you'll see that this is the bird we're looking at. These are the 2 small kingfishers that we get in this area, the malachite and the pygmy. Now the malachite, when you see it, has got a nice little blue crown that comes over that eye, so that's why it's easy to identify with this big broad white line that comes towards the eye, whereas the pygmy, you see, is it's got a little white and blue stripe there and a tiny blue cap on the top and this orangey coloration between the eye and that blue cap. So that's what we were looking at there, and there were 2 of them together. Absolutely beautiful. Colleen, you say number 201. Well, congratulations. 201 is a very good number for a live safari bird list here at Djuma, and hopefully we'll get you some more in the next few months. Lots of migratory birds coming and hopefully some very special ones to add to that. So it's going to be really nice to see a couple more of those migratory birds, and hopefully, like I say, we'll add a lot more to a list. Now I'm going to just negotiate this little area quickly and try and head back up towards the dam wall to go and see the last of the sunrise, and or sunset should I say. And while I do that, I believe Scotty D is still with his lions, and his lions are up and on the prowl, and I'm sure there's going to be some action at some stage.
I've seen one. Apparently one flew into our showers here in the Mara the other day. Craig, the one cameraman, found one in the shower. These lions are still on the move, but sadly not much in the way of prey just yet for them. I'm also astonished by the fact that one of the sub-adults is no longer with them. There were 4 when we initially saw them, and now there's only 3. So who knows what has happened to that other one or why it's not following the pride. But very, very strange, because they certainly aren't young enough to be starting to lurk around on their own. But obviously that one individual feels like it is. I'm guessing it could be a young male. Look at that beautiful glow in the clouds from what is a full moon that is trying to rise up. Well, it is rising up, I guess. It's not trying to. Just sadly we can't see it. Oh, and some lightning. That was a bonus. Let's see if we get another flash of lightning. No. All righty. I can see a few big blobs glowing on my thermal imaging. Let me show them to you here. It's not quite leveled, but I'm guessing it could be elephants somewhere up there. Oh, it's difficult to see, But let me show you the lions. There go the lion. And they're wonderful, wonderful tools, these thermal imaging cameras, because it means we don't really need to use a spotlight. Once we've found the animals and we can just keep track of them with this, it's quite handy indeed. I will have to use my headlights, but what I do is drive adjacent to the animals and just keep an eye on them with this thermal imaging, kind of at a 90-degree angle pointing away. Alrighty. It's taken a bit of getting used to playing with all these toys after dark, but once you get used to them, they're absolutely awesome. Hello, Gianna. You'd like to know how will lioness tell their cubs that it's time to hang back as and when they begin hunting? Is it vocal or visual? As far as I'm aware, it's a combination of the two. So a slight little low murmur or just a beady look or a combination, like you say, of the two. I think possibly the cubs also just read into the body language of the parents once they do find something to chase after. Oh, we need to send you off to Taylor. She's found something interesting.
We have found something interesting. I don't know what they are. They're rodents of some sort. Maybe you can help me. They just look like big rats, to be honest. They are massive, but there's two of them, and they were fighting. Well, first we had them nibbling at one another, and Manu said, kiss, kiss, kiss. And then they were fighting with one another. Are they gerbils? They've got very long back feet. There's two of them. There's the other one. I don't know what they are. Pouch rats? I don't know. I've seen them running around, but I haven't had them sit still enough to actually be able to identify them. Lucy says we should just call them mouse creatures. We can call them mouse creatures. I'm going to clean myself. I'm going to lick my hands, and then I'm going to rub them over my face and make sure that it's nice and clean. This is amazing. Like, this is what I dream of when I come on a safari, but now I'm a bit strange, of course. I love seeing these smaller things and watching animals in infrared like this that we wouldn't normally be able to see. Because, honestly, I don't think any of the presenters can say that they have got much experience in watching gerbil and mice and rats and whatever do their thing. I surely, except for the fact that my brother had a rat once. I used to call it Mousy. Its name wasn't Mousy, its name was Quinnen, though. It was the coolest thing in the whole world. And one thing I do know about these creatures is that they're actually incredibly intelligent. They are amazing at solving problems and sort of using their nose to find food, which is pretty cool. And they're everywhere at the moment. And this is why I don't understand why we don't see snakes more often, because there's an abundance of food around. This is also something that a jackal would be going for, which is probably some of their main food sources. That barn owl that you saw with Tristan, you get them on this side too. They would also love to go for a little treat. Didn't you think it's got a little hole in its ear? Can you see that? It's Daryl the mouse. I'm just joking. Daryl's an elephant, has a bell shape, or a Snapchat sign in one of his ears that I used to see almost every single day down in the Sabi sand. And it's Scott's best friend, actually. Daryl's Scott's best friend. Now, Paula, you've said it looks like a gerbil. Does it have a long tail? They do have very long tails. In fact, I think it's a gerbil. The fact that it has got sort of very, very long back feet, you don't really see that with rats and mice. Maybe bushveld gerbil. They're quite big too. Probably about maybe actually even bigger than the size of my fist. If you squash a fist, I haven't got particularly big hands though. So I would say an average size human's hand. If you bunched it up in a ball, that's about their size. I also don't know if it's male and female. Though this one looks like could be a male. I'm just looking obviously for the scrotum, to be frank. But they're right next to the car as well. They're less than a meter away from us. Just chilling. Didn't mind. They were on the road. I think one was digging for something. Maybe they'd stashed some little treats. Oh, hello. I don't know how many sightings we've had like this on Safari Live. It'd be quite interesting to see what they get up to. I mean, typically rats have got very, very long tails. Mice have got long tails too, but in proportion to their body, they're not quite as long. Woo! Wow, look at that. Bit of a battle going on there. Sizing one another up. Maybe they're two males. And they're having a bit of an argument. That's quite exciting. I think they're going to do it again. Oh no, mating! Mating! Oh my goodness! Never did I think, coming on a safari this evening, I would see mating rodents. This is very exciting. I've never seen this happen before. Wow, look at him go. That's actually lasting for quite some time. That was a lot longer. Louise, stop laughing because you're going to make me laugh. This is supposed to be professional. And okay. Sorry, everyone. Manu's also giggling now. I've never seen this before. Manu, have you ever seen this before? I wouldn't even be able to tell you how many. I wouldn't even be able to tell you how many times they would mate. Have we decided if they're gerbils or rats? They look very much like bushveld gerbils. They do, but they could also be rats. I don't know the rodent species too well in this area. That was fantastic. This is a new experience for me, and I think a new experience for a lot of you too. So not fighting. It's actually just sort of playful, I suppose, a bit of play before we get down to business. That's the male on the right-hand side, most certainly. That looks very much like male. They look like the scrotum there. And often with squirrels and with rats and mice, they're quite oversized for the size of their body. The other one's just having a quick groom. Oh, that's amazing. I can't believe it. I left my lions for this. I'm kind of glad that I did leave the lions because they went back to sleep, just by the way. They sat down, they crossed the little lugger we got around, and only to see them sleeping. That's an exceptionally long tail as well. That's at least 2.5 times the length of its body. Oh, wow. Oh, yes, that's what to say. I'm so sorry. I feel like I need to leave. I'm embarrassed. I'm so sorry. I cannot contain myself right now. This is one of the best sightings. This is one of the best sightings I've had in my life. I'm crying. I'm so sorry, everybody. Wow. Well, now I can say that when I go home tonight and I tell my mom what I saw on safari, she's going to be so excited. And off they go. I can't watch them anymore. That was fantastic. I don't think it's going to get any better than that. Woo! Manu, did you enjoy that? Were you recording? Oh my goodness. Let me just wipe the tears from my face while I try and compose myself. I'm so sorry. That was very overwhelming for me, and I hope that you all giggled as well, because I actually didn't know how to I don't know what to say about that sighting, but it was amazing, and I feel like I've learned a lot from that. And while I try and compose myself, it seems as though Tristan has got one of the new favorite characters right down the Chitwa Dam.
Well, Taylor, I don't know if you saying you learnt a lot from that is the right choice of words given the actions of that little mouse, but maybe that little mouse has decided it's time more for a career rather than trying to find a lady friend and causing a little baby to happen and have to look after. So I suppose if you got to do it, you got to do it, and that's just how it is. But it sounded very, very funny. Now our little baby is being cuter than cute can be. So little Boo is sitting and sleeping on top of Mom's back. It's decided this sitting on top of water and trying to tread water in order to kind of keep above and to be able to breathe is no good, and so it's much more fun just to lie on top of Mom's back and have a really good nap on the back of Mom. And you can see it's the perfect height. Mom just sits there, little one gets to sleep, nose is above water, and well, everybody's happy. Also, there's nobody's going to attack that little one on the back of its mom's. So it's quite cool. That was actually a cool shot, Senzo. I quite like that. It looks as though the little baby is floating on top of water and is super buoyant, even though we know that's not the case, and it's just more Mom being very obliging, and Mom seems quite happy too. There's a little kind of cuddle time before the sun goes down between the two of them. There's so many hippos in this dam at the moment. I actually don't even know how many in total, but I can see them all starting to kind of come out in the distance. There's one that's been rolling around and doing all kinds of things, and there you go, there's a little bit of a family coming out there, so a couple of small ones and some of the bigger ones, and they're all just coming having a feed. And then right in the distance is a big male that's been yawning and rolling and having a really good time on that side. Now those hippos you'll find, you can actually see how shallow Chitwa Dam is on that section there, but those hippos you'll find will come out and they're going to go towards the lodge, and that's where they're going to feed off the nice green grass closer towards the lodge, and that's what's going to happen. Oh, big yawn from you. Hello, little one. That's another one of the small ones. I wonder where the baby is from Brent in January, February, around that time. I know Brent had a tiny little baby here as well. I wonder where little one is at the moment. What was the name of that little hippo? I can't even remember now. It was seen during one of the TV shows, so I have no idea what its name was. But either way, these hippos at the dam are just being an absolute treat. They're all moving around. There's been some calling going on. Did see the little crocs as well. All three were accounted for. They have gone into the water now, though, unfortunately. They know as soon as it starts getting dark, it's time to go in, and so they've gone in. Other than that, there's a couple pied kingfishers that have been hanging around. There was a Egyptian goose blacksmith lapwing standoff just now, and oh, look at the colors in the sky. It's wonderful, isn't it? Now the moon should theoretically be coming up directly over the dead trees, so somewhere in that section there is where the moon theoretically should rise and come up and over, and it should be now in the next sort of, I would say, 5 minutes we should see it coming up and through those trees, which would be quite nice because it's going to be beautiful big orange ball, hopefully, that's going to rise over the top of those trees and over the top of the dam. And it's a pity there's a little bit of a wind, because if you get here and there's no wind on a full moon rise, it is absolutely beautiful because you get this orange reflection of this moon coming up. It really is very pretty. Not the worst place in the world to finish off your afternoon, that's for sure. Well, certainly not in my book. I think it's a wonderful place just to spend time and sit and enjoy. And even though we've had a fairly quiet afternoon with regards to sightings, we've just had a wonderful day, and we've been able to drive around and see lots of interesting little things. Another one of the migratory species back on the checklist, which is very, very good. And so it's actually been a wonderful afternoon. Now, I'm going to sit here with Boo and Mom and just sit with the rest of the hippos, and we're going to wait for this moon to rise. But while we do that, let's go back to Scotty D and his lions, who, like I say, have been hunting and moving around, but hopefully they'll pick up something fairly soon.
Hello, everybody. We are still with these lion and are just about to get into position to have another view of them. Actually walking past some elephants, which we might be able to see. But it's tricky with this infrared light because it's not as powerful as the one we used to use, and I fear even the lions are a bit too far away now. But there are some elephants just behind the lions, in front of them on the opposite side. Sadly, not too much prey evident in this area. That could change at any time, but for now, I don't see anything. So maybe a long walk to the restaurant this evening for these lions. Okay, it's a beautiful still evening tonight, not a breath of wind, which is also going to further complicate these lions' matters, because they may be detected long before they get to their prey whilst trying to sneak up on them. Hello, Proud Cat Mama. You'd like to know how far can lions see at night, and I'd say easily 100 meters in pitch darkness. Like it is tonight, the full moon is being obscured by the clouds. So yeah, I'd say at least about 100 meters. It's tricky to know at what detail they can see at that distance, but I definitely know with cheetah. I was with Malika one evening and she spotted some zebras way off, and she was looking very intently in their direction. Whether she knew if they were zebras or just some kind of an animal, I'm not sure. Okay, well, We need to keep moving. Looks like these lions are going to slink straight through this herd of elephants. I think I may have just heard one trumpet. Let me try and get us a bit closer to the action. Hi Glenda, you'd like to know if a lioness's call will travel as far as male lions? Probably not far off, but not quite as loud. I battle to distinguish between lion and lioness calling, but others seem to be convinced they can tell the difference. It's very, very tricky, and I do know though that males though really are quite loud when they want to be, relative to the females. Okay, let's see if we can stop here and snipe a view of what's going on. It's going to be tricky because I fear the lions at like 1 o'clock. Darv, there they are, just on your left a little. There we go. And there are some elephants just kind of in front of them. Lions, of course, don't have a huge deal to worry about, nor do the elephants, but the elephants definitely don't like lions and may chase them if we're lucky. I always like seeing the predators getting chased around by herbivores. I wonder if they're not just checking in to make sure there's no babies that they could try and snipe. That would be a very traumatic thing to see, lions catching a baby elephant, but it does happen from time to time. Okay. What to do next is tricky. I don't want to get in the way of the elephants and the lion. There's two different groups of elephants. Some are on our left, actually quite close by. We'll probably be able to see the ones on our left in the infrared there, some, yeah. And the lions are kind of making their way through the middle of them. Hello, C-Mac. You'd like to know what are the insects that are flying around in the light. I'm actually not too sure. I've been so focused on keeping an eye on the lions and this thermal imaging camera that I haven't taken notice of them. So I don't know. And even if I had been taking notice of them, I probably still wouldn't know what they are. There's so many little bugs and insects that float about here that I'm not too sure what they are. And you'll probably find it's a whole host of different types of bugs, not just one species. This is quite interesting. These lions are all in front of us, sniffing very intently in and around a hole. They're directly in front of us, yeah. Now, are they going to try and dig out a warthog? What is it that they can smell here? What has got your attention? Oh. You guys are having a salad starter to help purge the system. That wasn't what I was hoping to see you feeding on tonight, but do what you must. The vegetarian lions of the Mara. Fascinating. I thought they were going to maybe try and dig out a warthog. Now, what is interesting is how close some elephants are to them. There's some elephants just off to the left of them, not far away, completely unperturbed by their presence. Who knows, maybe, I think these elephants may not even know that the lions are here. Judging by the behavior, that's certainly seems to be the case. Okay, well, what to do next? I think I actually may leave these lions and their salad and start making our way back towards the road and call it a day. And we'll come and have a look for them in the morning, and hopefully we will find them with a buffalo kill or busy making one, because I'm guessing that is what their intentions are this evening. Very good. We're going to head off and send you back to Taylor.
I got them now, thank you, Chantal. Hello again, everybody. I've composed myself. I must apologize for my inappropriate behavior. That was, yes, very self-explanatory, but very funny. It made me giggle, and I needed a laugh today. I then almost, when I went off air, almost choked on my own saliva, and then got hiccups at the same time. So it was a great time. I suppose was that me being reprimanded? Maybe. We're also a little bit lost. We know we have to go that way, and I've crossed the lugger when I probably shouldn't have. So now we need to find another way across to try and get home. But we're also, excuse me, we're also exceptionally far away from home. We got a long way to go, but it'll be cool. It'll be a nice trip. Who knows what we might see. No, I'm so sorry, Louise. My comms here are really, really not great. I know we have to find a crossing though, Manu. Hey? Did we? Is that the tortoise crossing? Sorry, I think I've missed my route of crossing. No, Manu, we can't cross here. Is that a crocodile there? I think there's a crocodile in here. I can just see the water rippling. Yeah, it is. Just see it going towards that bank. There we go. No, you're on it, on your left. They're up straight there. It's just moving around. You can just see the water rippling. No, down, down, down. Yeah, it's in here. Oh, no, I'm looking. There we go. There's a croc. Scary stuff. You wouldn't want to go swimming in this little lugger. Oh my goodness. Okay, we need to try and figure out how we're going to get home from here. I'm going to send you across to South Africa to another water source where there could be crocodiles, and there probably are some hippo too.
No crocodiles and no moon either, Taylor McCurdy. It seems as though everything has failed me this afternoon, and of course I didn't actually check the timing of the moonrise. It's normally around sunset, so I thought that we would have it rising over that horizon, but apparently it's going to be in the sum total of 4 minutes. It's going to be up, which is after the time that we close it. That's when it's first visible. It'll only be up probably 15 minutes after that properly. So I've failed a little bit, and I've built this all up, and I've ruined it for all of us. I'm so sorry, guys. So unfortunately no moonrise for us today, which is not ideal. Hopefully we'll be able to show it to you at some point. I might just stay here and I'll film it for you and show you tomorrow morning. I think that's what I'll do, so that you guys can all have a look at how beautiful it is. But unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today. It's been an entertaining drive, that's for sure, especially from the Mara side of life. And we've had some incredible birds this side. It's been really quite wonderful. And we've had a wonderful day as well. Shadow and Cub was an absolute treat this morning. And I'm sure tomorrow we'll have lots of interesting things out and about. So from myself, Taylor, Scott, the Camops in the Mara, Louise, and Senzo and myself, we'll see you all on the Sunrise Safari tomorrow.